You are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the voice of the Knights. This is Nightly News Correspondent Noah Lopez with the Spring 2025 episode of the Nightly News Brief. This news podcast features audio versions of stories from our student reporters. Articles by Noah Lopez, Andrew Hunter, Paul Miller, Rosanna Wakely, and Nick Hogan are featured in today's episode. In the winter of 2024, I started a project as a part of my work-study position at Central Penn College. At the time, it seemed just like another job, something to help me earn money and build up my resume. My task was to scan photos, label them, and archive materials from the past of Central Penn College. It felt endless. There were boxes upon boxes of old pictures, yearbooks, and documents, and I could not see myself finishing anytime soon. At first, the job was quiet and very repetitive. I would sit for hours in the college library, clicking through images, scanning photos, and checking to ensure they were organized properly. It was slow work, but somewhere along the way, something changed. As I started to recognize faces, landmarks, and familiar names, the project became more personal. As a graduate of East Pennsboro Area High School, the deeper I went, the more I realized that I was not just handling school archives. I was preserving the story of my community. The photos told stories of everyday life at Central Penn, inside dormitories, about in-class presentations, trips with the school, events the college participated in, and more. These were not only snapshots of college life, but also of real life. The little details in each image helped paint a bigger picture of how things once were and how far we have come. And, recognizing that fact, I began to understand the real value of the work. It was about building a bridge between past and present, helping us see our community with deeper appreciation and purpose. Now, with the digitization project nearly complete, I am preparing to share it with the entire CPC community. I, Noah Lopez, will present my findings, sharing highlights from the archives and explaining how the process shaped my view of history, community, and the power of storytelling through images. So, I encourage you to save the date for the Frames of the Past presentation that will take place in ATEC 200 on June 11th from noon to 1 p.m. During that time, I will have the opportunity to share many of these photos with you, but also to reflect on the importance of this process and how it relates to Central Penn College. I never imagined that a part-time job would become such a meaningful experience. This project reminded me how important it is to record and preserve our history, not just for ourselves, but for future generations, who may one day want to look back and understand the people and places that came before them. In early May, the Central Penn College Gaming Club and Office of Residence Life collaborated on a video game tournament in the Gaming Center in ATEC 304. This tournament included 5 different games: Fortnite, Madden, NBA 2K, Super Smash Bros., and Mario Kart. The idea was to allow everyone to play a game they could enjoy and win prizes. Multiple participants competed in all the games, making the competitive level very high. The event provided pizza and refreshments for everyone who was playing or watching. In addition to video games and pizza, there were other signs of community. There were a wide variety of people at the tournament, with individuals getting to network with those who they may not normally have the chance to interact with. The Office of Resident Life and the CPC Gaming Club intend to make this a quarterly event around this time each term, with some improvements to make the event experience more enjoyable for all students. The Office of Residence Life has been running different kinds of events since the start of the term. These include watch parties for Central Penn sports and professional teams, and study night, where students can come to the Learning Hub and get homework done while enjoying a snack and conversations with friends. Additional events that Residence Life is planning are a campus-wide cleanup project, an informative speaker series, and an event with career services. The Nightly News Media Club had the opportunity to attend the recent college series at the Philadelphia Phillies in April, representing Central Penn College with the MLB organization. According to the Phillies website, college students, recent graduates, professors, and interested parents are invited to go behind the scenes in the business of baseball with Phillies, executives, and major league guests at these exclusive college series pregame events at Citizens Bank Park. The event, which took place on April 2nd, preceded the Phillies' opening night, the team's first night home game of the season. Members of the Phillies' business analytics team participated in a moderated Q&A session held in the media room at Citizens Bank Park. The panel offered valuable insight into the disciplines and technologies the organization uses to solve business challenges through data analysis, statistical modeling, and other quantitative methods. In addition to discussing their day-to-day roles, the speakers shared career advice and reflected on their experiences by highlighting what it was like to contribute to the Phillies' recent postseason run. A common theme around the questions surrounded things students could do to help break into Major League Baseball. Summerfield addressed that question by saying, quote, "Get to the finish line creatively. Anything you can do to work in sports can be a resume builder, even if it is not a paid position." End quote. Summerfield also suggested volunteering in sports, saying that developing a passion for sports in any capacity would be beneficial. Because the theme of the evening was business analytics, much of the conversation centered around the business of baseball and data utilized to improve fan experience and drive revenue. Barbary discussed the evolution of his position over the years, emphasizing that there is a great deal of data, but in years past, not everyone had access to or knew how to utilize data that was available. His job is to ensure that no department ever does not have the information they need to be successful. In the end, the group seemed extremely engaged and were able to make some lasting connections at the event. Not only did the panel offer kind words of encouragement, they consistently discussed the need to get involved, learn your craft, and develop the soft skills that are needed to be successful in the current and future job market. The CPC film series returned to the Capitol Blue Cross Theater on May 9th. This term's event was hosted by Central Penn Associate Professor of Communications and Media Ethicist Michael Lear-Olympi. It was his second time hosting the series. This time around, the audience was treated to a showing of the classic Western High Noon. High Noon, released in 1952, was directed by Fred Zinnemann and stars Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. The story takes place in real time and follows Marshal Will Kane, who was just married and plans to retire from law enforcement. However, he learns that a vengeful outlaw, Frank Miller, has been released from prison and is arriving on the noon train to kill him. Despite his efforts to gather support, Kane finds himself abandoned by the townspeople. His deputies, friends, and even the town's leaders all refuse to stand with him out of fear. As the clock ticks closer to noon, Kane is left to face Miller and his gang alone, highlighting themes of duty, courage, and moral integrity. One of the film's greatest accomplishments, especially for when it was released, is that the movie's runtime is concurrent with the story. Knowing that when the clock hits a certain time in the film is the real amount of time passed in real life is nothing short of impressive, especially for the time High Noon was released. I also feel the camera work was incredibly impressive and still followed the modern standards to a surprising degree, some of the pan-out shots as well, as dynamic movement shots were never broke the immersion of the film's Wild West setting. Before the screening, I got to sit down with Lear-Olympi and ask him several questions regarding the film. Lear-Olympi said, quote, "I hope students and the audience in general can take away from this movie a sense of art. Film is art, not just pure entertainment. It's not just the violence and CGI. There's art and work involved in this movie, which may turn some people off of it. But if you're an appreciator of arts, particularly of film, I hope you can see the artistry of this film. Seeing the work put into the expressions, set design, scripting, acting, camera work will have an impact. And I hope that people can appreciate there is nothing wrong with black and white cinema. Sometimes you just have to stand up and say or do something." End quote. The showing of The High Noon cemented that regardless of a film's age and history, the art of film should not be preserved only by those who enjoy it, but by those who have yet to see it. It is integral that the next generation views the films that influence the pop culture of today and modern filmmaking, and it is obvious to me that High Noon is one of many films that should be watched by everyone at least once. It was a spectacular thrill ride for someone who seldom watches films from that time and of that genre. Editor's note: we'll miss Nick's keen insights into and appreciation of movies during his 3-year tenure as the Nightly News CPC film series correspondent. His overviews and reviews of the movies shown in the series, and the work he put in to interview film series presenters, along with his impressive knowledge and understanding of movies, movie making, and Hollywood, benefited everyone who has read or will read his reviews, regardless of whether they saw the movies he wrote or writes about. The advisors and members of the Nightly News Media Club at Central Penn College thank you, Nick, and wish you the best in your learning and life quest beyond Central Penn. We know we'll see you again in the Capitol Blue Cross Theater to enjoy movies with us. And that's a wrap. As the days grow longer and the sun shines brighter, many people eagerly anticipate outdoor activities. The warmth of the sun kills the winter blues. While sunlight offers numerous health benefits, including vitamin D production and mood enhancement, it also poses risks such as skin damage and increased cancer risk. Dermatologists emphasize that understanding how to balance sun exposure is crucial for maintaining overall health. Sunlight is essential for the synthesis of vitamin D, a nutrient vital for bone health, immune function, and mood regulation. Even brief periods of sun exposure, about 10 to 15 minutes a few times a week, can help maintain adequate vitamin D levels. However, excessive sun exposure without protection can lead to skin damage, premature aging, and an increased risk of skin cancers, including melanoma. A common misconception is that individuals with darker skin tones are immune to sun damage due to higher melanin levels. While melanin does provide some natural protection against the ultraviolet radiation, it does not eliminate the risk of skin damage or cancer. In fact, skin cancers in people of color are often diagnosed at more advanced stages, leading to worse outcomes. It is essential, then, for individuals of all skin tones to use sun protection measures, including sunscreen with a high SPF protective clothing and seeking shade during peak sun hours. Skin cancer remains the most common cancer in the United States. According to the American Cancer Society, nearly 105,000 new cases of melanoma are expected to be diagnosed in 2025, with nearly 8,500 deaths. These statistics illustrate the importance of preventative measures and regular skin examinations for early detection and treatment. While there have been slight improvements over the last several years, the main factor is awareness and being proactive. In the end, sunlight is a gift, and it's one that must be respected. Protecting your skin today is an investment in your health, your future generally, and your life particularly. No matter your age, your background, or the color of your skin, the sun shines on us all, and so does the responsibility to protect ourselves. This has been Noah Lopez with the Spring 2025 episode of the Nightly News Brief.
This is Dalton Koller, co-president of Nightly News Media Club and broadcaster for the basketball games. You are listening to the Nightly News Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm so honored to be joined by one of the stars of the Central Penn Knights basketball team, Khalil Dukes. Khalil, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure, certainly. Anytime we can have folks from, especially people with the cachet that you have, we're always going to be happy to have you on the show. We're going to be talking about a variety of things with Khalil as he goes into his final 2 seasons here with the Knights, including some of his impressions from previous seasons, having to sit out a whole season with an injury, and of course, looking ahead to the 2025-26 season. Also being joined here by Nightly News President Dalton Koller. Dalton, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's always our pleasure, and I know that this is recorded post your final episode, but we look back at that and we appreciate all of the hard work and wish you well in the future, as this was recorded a little bit before the end of the term back in the spring. All right, well, let's get down to business, Khalil. The first thing that I always wanted to learn from you, and I've had you in class before, and we've kind of talked about this, but you're from Baltimore. So my first question to anyone from Baltimore is simply this. Have you ever been to Jimmy's Famous Seafood?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
It is, and I know we had this conversation back in class when I had you in Com 101 years ago, but my favorite restaurant in literally the United States of America, so much so that we have literally driven down there just for dinner. Nothing else, in the car, hour 15, hour 20, dinner, hang out there for a while, drive home. So anytime you're down, it's not in a lot. Everyone's like, oh, it's in Inner Harbor. No, it's a little bit outside of town, but well worth the trip. But the question remains, though, Khalil. I mean, being from Baltimore, how did Central Penn get on your radar?
At first, I was being recruited by Coach Archer in 2020. He came down one time during a practice, and he visited, and he liked what he saw, and some of his players actually came to talk to me before a game and watch me play too. So I was being recruited for a little while by Central Penn.
Do you remember which players that did come down?
It was Tyler White, and I don't know his last name, but his first name is Trent. I knew Quentin Blizzard, I knew him. We played on the same AAU team when I was younger. I played up when he was playing 17U. And these guys came down, they DM'd me, came to a game, watched me play, and they liked my play style, and then went back to Archer, and Archer came, and he liked my play style as well.
That's just so I love hearing these stories about how folks end up coming to Central Penn. Being in the USCAA conference, obviously extremely competitive basketball, but not maybe necessarily where you thought you might end up. So, as we come forward, what was it like your first year with the team? Of course, some big personalities. So we're back to 22-23. Some big personalities on that team. If you take a look back at the roster, people like Nate Jean-Philippe and Q and a wide variety of folks. What was it like that first year? Coming in and really kind of getting down to business with the folks that were on that team?
It was actually really fun. Nate, he's a guy that's always going to push you to your max. He challenged me every day in practice. Same with Q. These guys saw something in me. The first day I came. I actually came the year before that, and I sat out. I redshirted because I came in January, and we only had a couple games left, so I didn't want to waste a year on that. So I was actually with them for a while, and they saw, when I first got to practice, they saw how athletic I was, how, I showed myself being a leader off the court as well as on the court. And these guys, was mentors to me, and I try to follow their footsteps as much as I could.
What does that mean to you, being a leader off the court as well as on? I mean, obviously we understand the on part, but what does it mean to you to be a leader off of the court?
It means a lot. It just means getting in the community and just doing things. I've been about now. I've been trying to do a lot of things with the school and stuff. So just showing guys that you don't have to just play basketball to be known around here. You can, be a familiar face to a lot of people being in the community.
Well, I want to show that to bring that over to Dalton, because Dalton, as an athlete here during your time at Central Penn, obviously you did your thing on the field, but one of the biggest things and kudos that I give to you is your efforts off of the field. And I can specifically speak to that because Dalton was a major factor in Camp Hill Challenger Baseball, which is something that I'm a part of, and Dalton had come out for several years. I mean, just thinking back, what does it mean to you to get involved like that on a community level as being part of that student-athlete mix?
I mean, it's always just really cool to just be a part of that. I mean, obviously, experiences like that are really enlightening. and it's definitely just something cool to just be a part of. I mean, I would always look forward to those Sundays coming out and just getting to see the same kids that I got to talk to the week prior, and it just hanging out with them. It's always just a really cool time. It also does give you a sense of, like, I would say kind of just like fulfillment, just that you're there and you're actually helping people, just helping them make their day that much better.
And I can speak from conversations that I've had with the players. These people idolize you. I mean, you and all of the folks who've come out over the years. I mean, they just think that you're the coolest people in the entire world. And like you said, it really makes their day. Khalil, what are some of the community projects that you recall over your time here over the past few years that really have stood out to you in hindsight?
One of them being this past actually term, some of us, each person on the sports team went out. It was women's soccer, men's soccer, and a couple of us from men's basketball. We actually went to a farm, and we just helped, clean up, rake leaves. We saw horses and stuff. So it really just stepped out of our comfort zone and being around, a lot of the sports teams here, being as actually one, being an actual Central Penn, not just repping the basketball team, but just repping the school as a whole.
And I think that that's really cool, too, because that's something even a little bit different than what we typically think about when it comes to community service. So I do appreciate you doing that. And one of the most common things that I hear from students who, much like yourselves, have been here for a little while and become leaders on the campus, when if I ask them what are the things that advice that you would give to maybe yourself a couple of years ago, it's simply that. It's getting outside of your comfort zone, getting involved, reaching out to the community and sort of leveraging your position as a college athlete to make the at least surrounding communities a better place. Well, I want to get into something that happened your second season here in 23-24. You actually sat out the entire season with an injury. First of all, how did the injury happen? What happened? And what was it like to have to sit out an entire year of your college basketball playing? Of course, it didn't count toward the number of years that you were able to play, but still, having to sit out all year, that's got to be terrible.
Yeah, definitely is terrible. Well, actually, I sustained 2 injuries that year. The first one was in practice a week before the first game of the season. I had a high ankle sprain. It happened in practice, and it was just the most devastating thing to me. And then my second injury, I tried to come back in January again and try to play, help out, and I got a bone bruise in the other ankle. So it was kind of hard because I'm not really a talkative person. I'm really a quiet person. But being team captain, I had to step into a role that I wasn't really comfortable with, and being a vocal leader. Being on the bench, obviously everyone wants to play. And, I want to play. I'm a competitive guy. I don't like losing. So I try my best in practice to motivate guys and motivate the team. I know my presence on the court wasn't there, but my presence off the court and in practice definitely was felt.
Well, I mean, there's no question about that, right? Like, that was one of the times, that was sort of right about the time where I had you in class, and I could see, just even from my experience with calling the games the previous season, I could see how much you were bringing to the table even though you weren't suited up. And I wonder, and maybe we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but do you think that because of that experience, maybe that opens up, coaching in the future for you, or maybe even currently?
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, me switching from a quiet person and it's more of a vocal leader, it actually helped me because now I can sit back and watch the game from a different perspective. Because you're on the court, so you don't see what everyone else is seeing that's in the stands or coaching. And yeah, it definitely did open up something. I definitely want to tap into that once I finish my basketball career.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. You still have 2 more seasons to play for the Knights, so obviously we're not trying to rush you out to go coach somewhere. But I just wonder, so you said just recently, something that you said kind of stuck with me there, the switch. What was it? I understand that the injury kind of forced you to become this vocal leader, but were there other things going on as well that helped you step into that role beyond just necessity?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My head coach, Coach Martin, he came to me one time because we have a really good relationship. We talk, about basketball. We talk about anything. And he came to me and just said, I know you're not playing, but I need you to be a leader. And I know you can't play because I lead by example more than talking. So me being hurt and me being team captain, I can't just sit there and just let guys, lollygag, or I can't just sit there and just not expect things that they would expect from me if I was playing. So Coach Martin leaned on me hard, and even Coach Ken, when he was our assistant coach, he leaned on me hard, and other players leaned on me hard too, and I just had to make the switch.
Well, now that you've had the opportunity to get back and playing, like I really want to kind of kick it forward to sort of last season. Last season, of course, a year on the shelf, essentially. What was different about last season for you personally? Of course, we can go in and talk a little bit more about the team itself. But, I mean, you were clearly the captain, right? You were, in terms of scoring and rebounding, I mean, you were among the leaders on the team and certainly in the top, 2 or 3 in minutes. You second on the team in points per game, had a fantastic team-leading three-point shooting percentage, led the team in field goal percentage. I mean, you're leading the team in a lot of these amazing categories. So what was it that helped you get back and to your top playing ability last season?
Well, the injury really set me back. But when I played my actual freshman year, it gave me the sense of college physicality. I know we're not NCAA, so we're not playing the cream of the top guys, but we're playing actual good teams.
Oh, there's no question about it. And the competition that we see in the USCAA conference, and to me, and I don't know, Dalton, if you want to comment on this, that was one of the biggest surprises that I had when I started calling these games, is the physicality and the quality of the games on the men's side, for sure. There's no question. I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, yeah, I think it's definitely a big, I wouldn't say shock, but it's definitely like you realize how physical and quick and fast the game moves, like just in transitions, but whenever there's turnovers or defensive stops, or even just when big points happen, and how fast paced it really is. It kind of amazes me how not only just the fact that you guys can go for 40 minutes and be as physical and fast-paced as you are, but also keep the energy to keep it going too.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what I took in mind the off season. As you can see in my stats, I took not a huge jump, but a really huge jump. If you look at my numbers, I went from averaging 8 points to 11 shooting. Now I went from shooting 30% from 3 to 42. 30-something from field goal to 52. So,
I mean, yeah, you led the team in field goal and three-point shooting. That's pretty darn good, especially from the forward position as well. Yeah. So, I hate to belabor last season because I know that is, we've turned the page on that, but I think it's worth bringing up. So one major question that I had for you, I know Nate is now a coach for Central Penn basketball, and as well he should be. I really, really believe in Nate, and I'm sure that you do as well. What was it like, though, having to have a coach who you had played alongside in your freshman season?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it was difficult. It was actually pretty easy because he's like a big brother to me. So he leans on me hard, and he leans on anyone else. And I actually expect that from all my teammates and all my coaches. I like that, having that, person that you can lean on, that you expect to night in, night out to just do their best and try their hardest and expect greatness from. And that's what Nate expected from me. We talk oftenly. We talk a lot, actually. Even right now, with certain things going on and coaching changes and stuff, we still communicate. I still support his brand. He still supported me as a player.
Dalton, one thing I really want to get you involved in this portion of the conversation here, because last year you had a really cool opportunity, and I obviously you'd done some commentary before, but this was the first time that you really took the reins. I mean, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think you called more games than I did last season.
I'd have to look back, but I do think it's at least close for sure.
So obviously we both had the opportunity to call a number of games, and obviously we were at almost every single home game. As we look back last season on that 6-17 record, I mean, there's definitely some positives that we can look at. Certainly in the second half of the season, there were some major shifts. It was almost like when there was that big win against Manor at Manor back in December of 2024, after you'd had a sort of a tough start to the season. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, definitely. I do remember that game.
Talk to me a little bit about that game, because from there you guys went on a little bit of a run in the second half.
I think it happens. Teams sometimes don't click. And I think we all sat down as players and we looked at each other and just say, hey, we're not winning right now. It's okay. We're not winning. Let's go 1-0 each week. Let's try to focus on the next game one at a time. And we played Manor, and I think that was the game that we band together as a group. And it showed. We went to their home court and we won.
Well, you led the team in points that game. Again, see, this is always what is very interesting to me because I am always really curious about how much people can remember individual games in a season. Of course, I know that you remember these, but how much you remember. You led the team in scoring with 18 points in only 27 minutes, 6 rebounds. But this is a game where you had 5 people in double figures. You also had a couple of folks you had one with 9 and one with 7. To me, as I'm just looking at the box score, this most certainly seemed like a game where people all different, however many minutes they were playing, they were all getting involved to some extent. Was that sort of a catalyst over that break that really pushed you to show some major improvements in the second half?
Oh yeah, definitely. Me, I don't believe in just going out there and being all about individual, about me. I'm a team player, so I do what my teammates need me to do. And if that's scoring points, then I can do that. Is that rebounding? I can do that. I think we all decided, it's time to sacrifice. It's not all about, me. It's about the team. So I think everyone on the team is like, you know what, let's play together. Whoever scores. But we need to band together as a team and win the game.
So the one thing I do want to mention, and then I'm going to go to Dalton here, is an honor that you received last season. You were the Athlete of the Month for Central Penn in December. What was it like to get that kind of recognition, even in a season, admittedly, that didn't quite start the way you'd hoped?
It meant a lot to me. It was my first one. It meant everything to me. I just was thankful for my coaches that nominated me because they could have picked anyone. We have so much great talent on the team. Even guys that don't even get playing time, their attitudes coming to practice is better. So when I saw that, I was really honored.
Dalton, when you start thinking about sort of flipping the calendar to 2025, and obviously we saw some really tough losses in the first half of the season, what did you see, before we get to Khalil's opinion, what did you see moving into those really, really big games? The January 11th at 5 Towns was a pretty convincing victory, as well as the January 28th game against Williamson. In my opinion, the Williamson game was the most efficient and sound game that you guys played all season that I got to see. But Dalton, what were your thought processes here once we turned the calendar to 2025?
Yeah, I think to open up the season, and I don't know if Khalil would agree with me on this, but it honestly seemed like kind of just back to what he said, kind of just guys starting to get to know each other and their playing styles and just to get that little chemistry. Because I was going to ask you about like how you personally, how you had to sit out your second year due to all those injuries, and how when you started last year, how obviously one of your teammates is now your coach. Q is not there anymore. Even guys like Kobe was not there anymore. Other guys that you hadn't played with, you now had to start to play around them and also just learn their playing schemes and also how to learn yours and how you could fill in each other's, like, basically how you could just be puzzle pieces, how you could, like, how one person would maybe struggle in another area, that person would be successful. So how would you say learning that switch to, like, going from playing with the lineup you did your freshman year to that last year?
Well, I try hard as a player, especially as a captain. I try to reach out to my future teammates. So if it's freshmen or it's incoming transfers from JUCO or just transfer from any school, I try to, find their Instagram, DM them guys, and just let them know that, I'm here to win. I know you're coming here to win. So, let's work on, things that we can work on to win. And coaches do a good job at it. In practice, we really get after it so guys can really see who can do what and who can't. And we just try to pick up the slack wherever we can. And if it's someone that can't shoot threes, then we try to alter his game and try to make sure that he can be impactful somewhere else than trying to just do something that is not really his limit, is out his limits right now. Not saying he can't fix it or work on it, but we try to, hide things and plug in other guys, especially like freshmen. Coming in as a freshman, I started as a freshman. I was lucky to start as a freshman, especially playing with guys like Nate, Kobe, Q, even Rodney Ross. Like, that team was really good. And for me to play as a freshman, I know what it takes to get on the court. I know what it takes to, try to stay on the court. So I definitely, especially the freshmen, I definitely try to take them under my wing in a sense and show them how they can get playing time, even if they don't, how they can encourage their team and make the team better.
And this is something that, I'm sure Dalton's heard this many times from many people. I'm not taking sole credit, but this is one of the things that I was trying to talk about to Dalton and even some of our classes. Like, as you go into your second and third and even fourth year with the team, it's whether you want to or not, you are a leader. The people who are coming in, the new folks, are going to look to the people who have been there as as an establishment of culture. And I want to just, in our last couple minutes here, I want to just move forward to the upcoming season, and I want to talk about culture. Now, first, anytime you have a discussion about culture, it's the head coach, and this is the first time in many seasons that Coach Martin will not be at the helm. Coach Kenton Alston will take over this year. What do you think that means for the team moving into this season with the new coaching staff?
It means a lot. Coach Ken is doing a great job changing the culture already as it is. I think that was one of the big things that he preached in his interview of changing the culture, getting us to actually be a real college team and banding together. We've already been working out 6 o'clock in the morning, going to the track. I was just with and my other players. We were just with our assistant coach. He coaches AAU, and we were just right there mentoring kids, getting them ready for upcoming game this weekend. So Coach Ken is doing a great job changing the culture and weeding out, cancers. We don't, want that anymore. We want, a team that's really, brotherhood-like. And Coach Ken is doing a great job. Like I said, we're waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, going for, run on the track. We actually, after this, we have a weight room session going on with one of our assistant coaches. So the culture shift is really shifting, is really changing, and it's really on Coach Ken, but it's also us as players. We're buying into what he's saying, and we're actually following him and letting him lead.
And obviously, we've had Coach Kenton on. Many out there listening know Kenton, and certainly, but still an uphill battle coming off of a tough season, but bringing a lot of really strong people back. Obviously, another year, that's going to be amazing, but talk about some of these folks who are returning this year that we really need to keep an eye out for.
Definitely Aaron Harrison. He came in late a little bit last season in January, but now he's coming back and he's going to have a fresh start and actually a whole season to play. So I think he will be tremendous. Darnell Loud, he's actually playing the season as well, and he's coming back. So using that height, I know our key in recruitment is getting a lot of big men, so we won't be as small as we were last season. So a lot of guys are trying to, buy in and come back and build, help build the culture. Even with Deshaun King, he's actually coming back too. So our leading scorer is coming back, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Really only one lost player in terms of being a senior, and that's Anthony McClinton, who really did come on in the second half of the season. But, anytime you lose somebody that's been around for so long, that's a big hit. But that's the only one. Plus, I'm assuming that you're going to be bringing in a bunch more people as well.
I also wanted to ask about some of the incoming people. I don't know if you've got the chance to meet all of them or if they're all have gotten here yet. Who was incoming people that you think are going to be someone to watch out for?
We have a freshman named Victor. He's actually on campus right now. We're getting him ready. He's about 6'7", 6'8", and we're trying to, mold him as a player, build his confidence up right now. So, and that's kudos to Coach Kenton again for bringing in guys early so they can get around, juniors and seniors and guys that are returning. Also, a guy we have named Alex. He's an incoming freshman. He's going to be a good aspect to the team, long, lanky, athletic, can defend really good. So we have some pieces that are, coming in that's going to really help us. I haven't met everyone yet because we still have a lot of guys that are interested in coming. We're still trying to recruit. So it's going to be a great experience this upcoming recruiting period and bringing in guys. And this upcoming season should be a lot of fun for not just us, but for the school community as a whole.
Last thing I want to ask you, and of course, we're still hoping to see that schedule come out soon so we can start staffing our games. But being that it's the summer, what is it? How much are you actually able to do over the summer? Are there restrictions? I know it's different because we're sort of a year-round school. Are there restrictions to the amount of practice that you can have, or how does that work?
So I know it's different everywhere we go with, us being USCA and other schools being NCAA. But I know that our coach, we can be with our coach and stuff, but it can't be called a practice. So we can just, have a little workout here, a little workout there, or, let's go get a run and stuff like that. And if it's not labeled as an actual practice, then I think everything is really good.
Well, Khalil, I just want to thank you very much for your time here today. We just absolutely are so honored. I'm speaking for Dalton here, and Dalton, you're welcome to add to this, but so honored that we get to call these games. I mean, it really gives us an identity here on campus, and the thing I love most is just how thankful all of you are for what we do, and it just means so much to us because it validates the hard work that we do. It's not like we just show up and sit there and talk, and there's obviously a lot more that goes into it. Do you want to add something there, Dalton?
No, yeah, it's definitely a really cool just the thing to go up and every single day I go on the schedule, whenever we have a game day, I get super excited and amped up just to be there and just be a part of that, because it's always great to see. Obviously, me being a baseball player myself, it's always I know it from that aspect, but just getting to watch back and watch you guys preparing the way that you guys do, and then you guys go out there and perform. It's always just a really, really cool thing to just get there and sit to watch every time you guys are at home, for sure.
And Dalton, I hope that in the future you're interested and willing to come back and call some games, because we would love to have you. Of course, we've made it a practice of inviting our alumni members back to do these things, and we, invitations will be going out to you and Kevon to see if you can come back, because honestly, and I hope that the two of you look back on some of those games that you got to call together, because you just did a fantastic job and gave my voice a little bit of a break. So, but Khalil, seriously, thank you for your time today, and we're going to be pulling for you. We're going to be looking forward to that schedule release, and the Nightly News will be back out there with you, I guess, coming in November.
Yep, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Well, hey, I just want to thank Nightly News President Dalton Koller. Dalton, thank you so much for being here. And again, I know that in chronological order, this is going to be your final podcast, but I'm certainly looking forward to having you, continue to be involved with the Nightly News, even as an alumni.
No, I appreciate it. It's always been obviously a great time, and just being a part of the Nightly News and being a part of the broadcast and all that stuff. It's definitely been a really, really cool experience. And it's unfortunate that it's my last term, but again, like you mentioned, I'd always be open to coming back and watching you guys play, because it feels like there's definitely a very bright future for the basketball team.
You'll be back, because I don't know what I'm going to do without you. It's been 4 seasons, so I want to make sure to have you back. And Khalil, thank you again for being here and really just the maturity that you've shown and stepping up, even in an injury-plagued season, and then to come back and just be that leader. I mean, that's what our team needs, and you're the guy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I try my best, and I always try to put the team first, never myself. So whatever the team needs, I'm the guy.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. We'll see you again next time.